They've actually been surprisingly successful, especially with the changes to Righteous Glory. You can make that Volibear work quite nicely.
All right. I know you want to talk about Volibear.
I'm not going to harp on about it. I'm just saying
it's not the most fabulous thing we can talk about because you said it shouldn't be done, but there it is. Boom.
Okay, Melty actually batting that one away. They actually respect that from Unlimited. They're saying, no, we do not want to mess with that, but that is going to leave the Lucian and the Trundle available for SK Gaming, which they're very quickly going to prioritize, which already SK are looking for a powerhouse bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm going to just keep you up to date quickly. Of course, Nidalee, Kindred taking off, Echo as well, Rise. We've got a lot of these standard bans with the picks are coming in pretty quick. Zier, that powerhouse mid laner, we've seen how great it can be. Wondering if Niski can step up, but on the opposite side, you said Trundle, Lucian, strong picks. Seem to work in just about every circumstance.
With the Azir picked up for Melty, that to me spells SK have to go Victor here. It's the best pick that you can go. It's a matchup that we have seen for a long time, and with the changes made to him now, he is still relatively strong. He can keep himself up. So I expect to see a bit more of a farm matchup, but it's nice to see the Emperor back in action as he is going to be able to provide a lot of control, a lot of mid-game damage, and a lot of teamfight potential for Melty.
So what do you think SK's next move is? Do you think they keep the Trundle top lane to face off during the Maokai, or against the Maokai, or do they look for something else here?
They could go for the Gnar, like we've been discussing throughout this series. The Gnar into the Maokai, a nice advantage for the Gnar. Going for the early Black Cleaver will be able to shove that Maokai around. And we saw Ruined. I mean, okay, I did see a couple of whiffed ultimates coming out from him, but he also made some fantastic ones.
He was like 50-50 on the ultimates, admittedly, but his mini Gnar play was insane. The man could not miss a boomerang, it felt like. It always hit home. It always was making an impact. And there it is, instantly locked in here. They're going to save that mid lane pick for last, but they have now picked up the Elise and the Gnar.
So there we go. Cesar moving away from, well, with the Nidalee and the Kindred band away, he doesn't have that many options available. And with the Graves gone too, he could really only go for the Gragas or the Elise or the sneaky Volibear, but he has decided to go for that one. So he still has this early game presence. He can set up for some picks around the map. And right now, SK, kind of a weird team composition. They pretty much have strong laners all across the board, and it looks like from what they've got, they're going to go for a pretty early advantage and trying to snowball something in the mid.
Interesting to see. Of course, once again, we could potentially have another Sivir composition coming out, and we've seen how strong that can be. Worked out, obviously, very well in the previous game.
Combined with the Maokai, you have fantastic pick potential there coming out from Melty.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back at SK, it seems like, once again, we have a lot of solid picks. Unlimited and, you know, Vardags streaking towards a little bit more classic bot lane this time around. Nothing quite so exciting as Taric Misfortune, but that Gnar still going up to the top lane for Ruin. That seems like the perfect comfort pick for him.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like that. Obviously, Ruin, we've only seen one game from him so far. He is coming from Korea, and eyes were kind of on him because we have to remember SK, they have fallen far from their pedestal of Worlds, which was not that long ago at all. And now, sitting here in relegations, trying to fight their way back into Challenger, picking up these new players, we have to see how they have been performing, and Ruin so far is doing a great job.
Yeah, I think overall, we're going to have to see how he matches up against the top laner of Melty. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup for him.
That fiddle was locked in then.
It's the Victor. As predicted, props to you, Mr. Colorcaster. The Victor versus Azir matchup, the old school classic. A little bit more flavor on it these days, as Victor has received a set of changes. I think we can safely call them buffs now.
I would call them, I don't know, because his E was a nerf. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
his
but the
E was
ult is so strong.
It was, so that's why I feel like I'm happy with changes. Changes is what I like. Yeah, changes. So his ultimate is a lot stronger. Respect the ultimate. You might have heard that catchphrase yesterday from me and Pulse, where people did not realize how much the ticks from Victor did.
They're like, it's not doing any damage. Then pop. Oh yeah, it's doing a lot of damage. Pop. Okay, we're dead.
Yeah, that is the definition of pop coming out from Victor. Am I too British to say that?
No, I don't think any. I mean, I don't know. It's like half community reference. It's good. I like it. You just get it in there.
Yeah. So Sivir and Janna is the other bot lane as well that we need to talk about, because that is going to come out from Melty. A lot of wave clear available combined with the Azir, and that means that when you get a lot of poke down from the Azir, you also have a bit of poke available on the Sivir as well. But you have that a lot of poke, and then once you've got the damage down, you can be like, right, let's go. We want to fight right now. And with that on the hunt, you're going to be easily able to set up for those mid-game dragon fights that Melty love to play around, just like SK.
Yeah, and I really love that they picked up the Janna too, because it not only is it going to make it easier for Sivir to push in those waves, but it does give them that disengage opportunity if Ruin is going off and manages to get in that backline. Because like we said, his Gnar ults aren't always great, but he's late game, he's pretty much always trying to fight 3 or 4 people at the same time. And having that disengage tool seems really crucial for Melty to be able to come out on top.
The thing about his ultimate is he seems to always throw it out. When he has it, he just uses it, and he doesn't really care if it's good or bad. If anything, he's just trying to send a message, and he's basically telling you that if you overstep even slightly, I'm gonna ult you into the wall, and you have to respect that all the time. And I feel like yesterday, they did not respect the potential of Ruin to make those sort of plays, so perhaps Melty will respect it a little bit more, and I'm hoping that we do see a little bit more, because there is a lot of fan support behind them. They do have they are expected to perform well, and a lot of fans thought that they would be somewhere contesting the top of the group. So SK will be a great win for them to pick up if they can.
Definitely want it, but SK as well. Pressure on the organization to rise back up. Getting into Challenger, seeing the first step on the road back to LCS. Of course, now gearing up. We are set for game one. You can see Melty eSports on the blue side, SK Gaming on the red. They're leaving the base and ready to set up. Do you think we're going to see the standard lanes here, or is this going to be another lane swap coming out?
I feel like we are going to see the... Ooh, actually, it's kind of tough to say. It depends on how worried Adam is going up against the Gnar. You have a decent amount of sustain on the Maokai, and as long as Nero hangs around the top and applies a little bit of pressure to Ruin, it shouldn't be that bad of a matchup for him. He will struggle simply due to the range disadvantage, but he can get through it. Because if you just look at the bottom lane, it's actually not that bad. The Lucian, yes, is very strong and can add a lot of presence, but because he's paired up with the Trundle, who typically during the early game doesn't have that much to bring in the support role, going up against the Janna, Melty should be fine down in the bottom lane. And with the amount of wave clear they have, they may very well be able to just keep shoving up against the SK bottom lane.
Yeah, it's kind of the terrifying thing about fighting against that Sivir, right? Is that she just pushes the wave in.
Especially with the Janna.
Yeah, if she wants to fight you, she'll fight you. But if she wants to push the wave and ignore your lane completely, she can do that. Although Kurdos taking a bit of damage here. Eye of the Storm going to make that pretty safe, but just wards coming down on both sides, and it looks like we are geared up for some standard lanes here. Information traded back and forth, a few cooldowns, but nothing major quite yet. No crazy level 1 plays on either side.
So it does seem like that we are going to go for the standard matchup. Bit of vision down to try and identify what both teams are trying to do. As I like this coming out from Melty, hanging around together just in the event that a lane swap does happen, and they're unaware. And now Melty just going to help out that jungler. Same for Ruin, and then everything is going to return to normality. So standard lanes all across the board. Azir versus Victor. Going to be the far matchup of the century as both mid laners go at it, trying to battle for the CS.
Overall.
Try to make that sound as hype as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of matchups like that, right? Except the good news is that we get to watch Ruin play Gnar into Maokai one more time. And if
Are you a big Ruin Gnar fan?
I'm not. See, I'm not really a big... I don't know much about Ruin. I don't know much about the new top lane meta, but I know I love Gnar. And watching Gnar versus Maokai, I feel so bad for Adam because all he does is proc his passive on creeps and back away. Because that boomerang, it just keeps procking. Once Gnar hits that level 2, the hyper comes out, although bot lane hits this level 2, and they're already getting so aggressive. Walked, taking a lot of damage. Vardag's Unlimited getting so aggro here. Ooh. They are going to trade the summoner spell for just a fat chunk of health off Wax.
So SK played that really well, getting the ever so slight advantage, controlling the minion wave so that they knew they'd get the level 2, using the pillar as well as the bite coming out from Unlimited to set up. Pairing it up with the exhaust as well now is going to force Wax back very far behind in this lane, but with the wave kit that he does have and the Janna support, he should be able to work his way back in as, ooh, they go for another trade.
Vardag's and Unlimited so aggressive. It's not the Taric Camp map, but the Lucian Trundle even more powerful here in this exchange. Kurdos and Wax now already on the back foot. We thought Sivir was just going to push this wave out, but they've really taken control here on the bottom side of the map.
They certainly have, and it's all thanks to that early level 2. SK realized that they didn't want to get pushed under their turret. They wanted to take as much of an advantage as possible, and so they did just that. Really impressive stuff. Have a look at this from Suno. I really actually like this. He's sort of, because he realizes the minion wave is pushed towards him, he's being very aggressive in his stance, and he's almost saying, oh, if you overstep ever so slightly, my jungler could be here, and that's forcing Niski to play a little bit more defensively, and he's losing a bit of farm from that. So quite nice mind games coming out from Suno, and just really good positioning overall in the mid.
Yeah, standing aggressively on the back half of the creep wave, making sure that he can trade aggressively there if the opportunity comes up. Ready to punish Azir, but Azir with the quick Q in there, the shifting sands. Piercing sands, rather. Going to get a decent amount of damage down on that Victor, and Cesar already looking for that gank, as you predicted.
Ooh, Cesar rotating around to the middle lane. Could very well be able to set that one up, but given that the minion wave just arrived at the worst possible time, that does mean that the gank will be avoided. So Cesar just going to be prioritizing. Have a look at the overextended bottom lane, though. This could be exactly what SK are looking for to get themselves an early lead.
Yeah, moving back though, on the bottom lane. They are going to get that ward into the tri-brush, and things are going to calm down. But I think we've seen this before on the top side of the map. Ruin, always aggressive, but Nero, he's here. He's ready to punish, and Elise, about 20 seconds away. They have an opportunity, but it's a small window. I don't know if they're going to take it.
Ooh, it does look like it. Nero moving up, but he notices Adam is being aggressive. He's read this.
Oh, smoke screen comes out. No sight for Ruin. He's going to take the risk. He's going to jump across the creep wave, hitting red buff, ticking down. The Gnar flashing to safety. Are they going to go for it? Elise comes over.
Oh.
First blood goes down, but it's going to be the 1-for-1. Cesar there just in time, hungry for more blood. Adam running for his life. That's red buff for Elise, ticking down. The autos coming out. The flash burned as well, and SK come out on top.
So Melty are able to get themselves the first blood, but notice that Nero, he had to burn his flash to get the kill onto Ruin, and if Cesar had not been there, then it would have been a clean first blood for Melty, but because Cesar turned up, he did miss the cocoon, which a little bit unfortunate. That might have been enough to save Ruin, but he still gets a kill off the back of that. Not quite able to get the follow-up kill onto Adam, but he does burn his flash, and now by hanging around the top half of Melty's jungle, they could look for a potential dive.
Yeah, but of course, Wolf Spirit going to come out, spot out the Elise in the jungle, so they should be safe for now. But Gnar just continues to press forward as Azir is getting crushed in these trades in the mid lane. Suno posturing aggressively. We talked about his only expertise being on that TF, but he is looking pretty comfortable on that Victor.
He certainly is, demonstrating that the Death Ray still has what it takes to put a bit of poke down in the laning phase, and Niski really not having an answer for it, really struggling to know how to trade back. And this is one of the problems that you may have on the new patch. Ooh, in the top
Ruin
lane.
going in, has that level 6 before Adam, getting incredibly aggressive, but Adam's healing up. Grasp of the Undying, Sap Magic. Giving enough to win that one out. Ruin just going to take the one trade.
So this is what we were talking about. When Ruin has that ultimate, he just throws it out. No hesitation. He didn't even think that he had much of a kill pressure. He just wanted to say, I'm going to get a lot of damage down onto you. I know that my Mega Gnar isn't going to be up for a while, so I can afford not to have the cooldown. I'm just going to keep poking you.
Oh, Niski, that's not at all what you want. Graves coming in hoping for the follow-up, but one missed step. Going to mean that that's not going to go through at all.
Unfortunate. Very unfortunate coming out from Niski. Now Melty in the bottom lane. Going back to a little bit more of what we expected, just getting their shove on. I feel like that should be a song. As Cesar now rotating round to the mid.
Yeah, creeping his way in there, starting to put down some damage on this tower. They know they can bully out the Azir. Just trying to find some small advantages here, although Nero comes in. End of the line for that tower push. They now shift their sights. The blue buff, though, pinged out, and it doesn't look like the SK are going to opt to take it. Instead, trying to use this time to back out in the mid lane.
I now have stuck in my head, get your shove on, get your shove on. And
Why?
I don't know.
Did you make up your own song and then get it stuck in your head?
That's exactly what happened, and now I can't listen back to it to get it out of my head.
I take it back. It's not feeding in the mid lane. Or feeding doesn't matter. That is the quote I will remember. It is the you making your own song. I love it.
Right, now the blue buff being contested from Melty. Taking this away from Niski is actually absolutely massive because it'll remove a lot of presence that Azir potentially has, but it does look like Niski read that, and he's going to force them away as the exhaust comes down.
Going forward, looking to get aggressive, Unlimited burning that every chance he gets, but the trade back, that's a lot of damage coming in from the Sivir Janna, and they look so comfortable in this lane, and they too are getting their shove on.
They certainly are, as the exhaust being used by Unlimited means that if an all-in happens in the bottom lane, there's not going to be able to do it. Oh, Niski, you ate the second proc of that E. That is painful. Remember now that the damage reduction has been taken off that, so it does a lot of damage if you get hit by it, and it is obviously a lot harder to hit as a result, but especially in these big team fights, it can catch you off guard sometimes.
He never stops. The man just keeps getting aggressive here. Unlimited, no fear, burning that ultimate as soon as he hits level 6, throwing down some damage onto Walks, and the bot lane, despite all these aggressive trades, nothing really happening yet.
Does seem that way. Cesar continuing his vision control around the Rift Herald as Nero, I do believe he knows that he is there. Azir also posturing around to try and look for that sort of a play. Not going to be able to find anything. And now, in the early game, 1-1 so far. SK currently sitting with the gold advantage, but still very even as far as games go. And looking across the farm, the big discrepancy is up in the top lane, as we expected. Ruin, the Gnar against the Maokai, a bit of a rough matchup, but Melty's feeling like, hey, it's not a big problem. He's Maokai. He can still have an impact with that ultimate in the mid-game, so it's not that big of an issue.
Maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable here than Ruin's previous opponent. And of course, Adam, much more experienced top laner, hasn't shown us too much yet, but despite falling behind in CS, is not falling prey to all the kill pressure that Gnar has been trying to put out. Bottom side of the map, continuing to be a push fest. You saw Elise pick up the blue, and things are unfolding. This is what we've seen from the majority of games in this tournament so far. Calm, early games. Both teams look for little advantages, and despite all the aggression in the top lane, they haven't quite seen it yet.
Ooh, have a look, Ping's coming down onto the red buff. Says that he wants to try and contest this.
Azir's coming down, though. Victor's not on the way. Elise has to be careful. She could get collapsed on. He's going in, knocking him back. Elise, flash, up in the air, down for the dragon. Good escape, trying to aggro the dragon. Mountain Drake, ooh, not enough damage, burning through the spiderlings, but Elise will make it to safety.
Really nice play coming out from Cesar. I do feel like he realized what was happening, and he was quite patient with how he actually decided to play that. So a lot of respect going out towards Cesar, realizing that, okay, if I panic flash here, I'm going to lose my life. So he just calmly waits to make sure that he's flashing within range to repel onto the dragon, and he's then able to escape. So great execution, but he was a little bit too overextended in the first place.
Yeah, definitely getting caught out in the jungle, but starting to make those aggressive moves. And you can see Niski actually getting a lot more confident in these trades. May not have a blue buff of his own, but looking a little bit more comfortable now that he's hit a few more levels under his belt.
Yeah, picking up that Stinger is what's giving him a lot more confidence. Those Sand Soldiers hitting a lot more regularly and putting out a lot more damage results in him quite comfortably being able to trade back with Suno. And speaking of Suno, just noticed that he has actually decided to pick up the Barrier. And now Barrier actually had some pretty cool changes on the 610. The cooldown has been reduced from 210 to 180, so you're going to have that up a little bit more regularly, which is fantastic for Victor because sometimes he gets a little bit too close for comfort, and having that Barrier does give you that extra bit of protection.
Yeah, definitely a solid option. Gnar, though, getting caught out here. Elise coming in on the backside. Victor's there as well. Ruin, though, may have overstayed his welcome. Elise suddenly in the midst of the team. They're moving forward. They're trying to get damage down. Victor has to flash over the wall. SK. Chaos here as they try to force a dive, but it's not working for them. Niski, he could come over. Shifting Sands, conquering Sands. He's got everything. Adam gonna grab a kill. SK overstep.
Really nice collapse coming out from Melty. SK tried to set up the dive onto Adam, but it was Melty initiating the fight first. They go for the collapse onto Ruin because his Mega Gnar has just ran out. He no longer has that ultimate to disengage. He did have to use his flash, and the rotation from Suno was good, but it just wasn't enough. Niski coming in from the Baron pit, easily able to set up for another kill, and they're actually putting this Gnar a little bit far behind.
Yeah, we can see that one more time here on just the fumbles in the execution.
Have a look at Cesar. He's having to rotate all the way through the turret. He even ends up taking a turret shot. And because it takes him so long to get there, Ruin has already forced so incredibly low.
And then here comes Azir on the backside too, so things just could not get worse for XK on this execution.
It certainly could not have. We praised the top and jungle yesterday of SK and how well they've played, but it does seem like the aggression that they were doing such a great job of yesterday, they cannot replicate up against Melty.
Yeah, Melty a little bit more active in punishing this out here, and Unlimited not quite as eager to run in for those trades as he once was, backing out of that jungle, although you can see all the vision that he has put down in Vardag's. Go in on that Janet at a moment's notice if he gets the opportunity, but instead the focus is gonna be this Mountain Drake.
It does seem that way. Picking this one up, we've talked a lot about how valuable this Mountain Drake can be. Giving you that extra true damage towards structures and epic monsters means that taking further Drakes from this point will be a lot easier. Taking away the Rift Herald or the Baron is going to be that much easier. And typically just your objective control is all the stronger.
Yeah, definitely something that they would want. They are starting to bully down these towers. You can see how much Ruin has chipped out on the top side, just continuing to throw boomerangs at Adam, saying, hey, come get me. Just going to keep throwing this damage out, but Niski looks more and more comfortable each time we check in on those mid lanes, making plays on the top side, grabbing that assist. Things looking pretty good for him, but Ruin, he's got the ultimate, he's got Mega Gnar, just trying to make it to safety. Nero, though, has he overstayed his welcome? Or does Ruin stay too long, too? There's just a lot of trading going down here. Suddenly the Culling comes out, Spell Shield going to block one shot, but it's not a ton of damage. Unlimited forced off the tower there.
Wow, so aggression coming out from all sides of the map, and now more aggression in the mid.
What a cocoon! Moving forward, they're not going to be able to get anything else as the TP comes in, and Adam is zoned out, but great predict coming in from Cesar.
Yeah, really good play. He realized what Niski was trying to do. He manages to get that cocoon successfully. Unfortunately, because of the teleport, it denied any further follow-up. So Adam expending that summoner spell to keep his mid laner alive while all this action is going on. We saw that aggressive play from Vardags. That's going to force the bottom lane of Melty back, and SK are going to take the first turret of the game.
Exactly where they want to be. They may be down in kills, but they are ahead in gold, 20k to 22, just about. They move into approaching the 15-minute mark. a dragon in SK's favor as well, and these small objectives are starting to add up. Melty making some good moves. Adam, of course, with the 2-kill lead on the top side. And Ruin potentially going to get caught out here. Here comes Graves. No Mega Gnar, no extra resistances. The bounce, the hop over the head. Going to try to Goomba his way out of this one. The red buff ticking. Health pot. Oh, it's going to be enough. Ruin makes it to safety.
Ruin needed one more shot. He should have committed a little bit more underneath the turret, but Ruin timing his jumps just enough to get away with his life. They may very well lose that top turret, but with the rotation of SK's bottom lane to defend it, it looks like that Melty aren't going to be able to get anything off the back of that. Nero going to use his flash to make that sort of play happen, and he's not going to get anything. So with Ruin now, his flash going back up, looks like that in the top lane, things are going pretty well for SK.
Overall, SK, yeah, really just taking control here. They had the small lead. They're coming out on top in that exchange. Ruin making it to safety just barely, and you can see Suno now moving down to the bottom lane to make sure they don't lose anything else. Clearing out the waves here. Sivir may be good. Victor can match that, though. The Death Ray comes out. He doesn't hit enough of the creeps, actually, and Sivir getting down some good damage on this turret. Eye of the Storm making it so easy for him.
But now SK, they have a big tempo advantage. Having gotten that tier 1 turret down in the bottom lane, they're now just rotating around the map, using that pressure that they've gotten with the completed Ghost Blade to take all these outer turrets down. Having taken the top, very likely that they could rotate around to the mid, or they're just going to gain control over Melty's jungle.
Oh, Nero may have overstayed. Once again, Cocoon over the wall from Cesar. They're moving forward. Great pillar to try to deny the dash. They're moving forward. Azir goes in, though. The turnaround from Melty. No more cooldowns coming out from SK. They're going to have to back away. They wanted to kill. They're going to leave with much less.
Oh, kudos to you, because that flash shield was so good to keep your jungler alive. The follow-up then coming out from Adam and Niski to get that kill down onto Cesar means that Melty, they're going to maintain the kill lead, and they're going to look to set up a siege onto this mid turret.
Moving forward, I mean, really just great responsive play coming in from Melty, but they're going to have to make some proactive moves if they want to get themselves a greater lead here, because they're still trailing just a little bit behind, and it's not just in the kills and in the gold, it's in the farm as well. 114 to 151 there on the top side of the map. Those 2 kills not counting quite as much as they used to, and of course, in the bottom lane, small leads as well. The 5 creeps for Lucian. Not a huge advantage, but continuing to grow. So
16 minutes into the game, we're approaching that 20-minute mark. And typically 20-minute, for me, dawns the start of the mid-game, simply because you have the 2-item power spikes, or at least the item and a half that a lot of teams look to fight around. And so with now the upgraded Stinger completed, the Nash's Tooth finished for Niski, he's feeling a lot more comfortable. You also, it looks like he's working towards that Abyssal Scepter, which makes sense when you're going up against the Victor and the Elise. And speaking of Victor, he has now completed his Mark II Hex score, and it looks like he's working towards that Rylai's. Rylai's so valuable on Victor right now because it just means that whenever he pops that ultimate, it sticks to targets, and it does so much damage. You get that damage down, and it forces people to respect it, and if they don't, they end up losing their life.
Yeah, you absolutely have to respect it. You're completely correct at this point in the game, and once again, the stakes only raise as we continue to move forward. Kills not meaning much in the early game, but start to transition to towers or greater objectives. And Ruin, as expected, running forward, always looking to throw that boomerangs, always looking to proc that hyper passive on Maokai. And you can see itemization coming out in the mid lane. Victor moving up there in terms of the Hex Core, and the Black Cleaver in the top lane. You said it yourself, this was the item that was going to define Gnar, and now we're seeing it built out.
It really has brought him back into popularity. Given the item cost reduction, yeah, you lose a little bit of AD, but it's still super cost effective for the price. And you're seeing it on AD carries, you're seeing it in top laners, and it really is changing the meta all around the mid lane. As Unlimited right now, he's the only one defending this top turret.
Lucian's on the way, he has the culling, but they're doing so much damage here. They're just a little bit scared to approach, and Vardag's now coming in. Has some decent damage. Are they going to move forward? Unlimited just trying to get cheeky, just trying to threaten a bit of damage. Vardag's forced to dash back, but meanwhile, Adam, the only one here to defend this tower. Repel going to be used. Decent damage going on to the tower overall. Locking Ruin down for a couple tower shots.
Cheeky play.
Yeah, Adam doing his best to defend that tower, but it's just kind of mirrored here on the top side.
Ooh, it looks like Kurdos coming in. They might be setting up for a dive.
To have that option. TP coming in on the backside. Here comes Adam. Vardag's potentially all alone. Flashing out, trying to make it to safety. Unlimited, though he's so tanky with the Subjugate. Suddenly Adam's all alone among 2 members. TP coming in on the opposite side. The cone slowing him down. Lucian on the way, hungry for blood. Azir, one more play to make the day, and Walk's going to grab that kill, as they're now surely going to pick up this top lane tower.
Yeah, that was Melty just buying enough time for Niski to come in with the Shurima Shuffle and finally get that kill down onto Vardags. But while all that was happening, SK were making plays all across the map. They pick up the Infernal Drake, giving them 2 dragons overall, both the Marin and the Infernal, as well as picking up the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. But Ruin, he's not done yet.
This is not someone you can run away from. The Gnar just going to rip through him. Unlimited, going to grab the assist with the pillar and not much else. These little duels, not at all what Melty needed.
No, it certainly is not. And now SK, with that kill, they should be able to rotate round to the Rift Herald. Unfortunate for Wax right there, burning his flash and his heal just to try and get away from Ruin to no avail, and giving away such a massive objective as well. Really not what you'd expect from the Melty bot lane.
Glimpse of the Void at 20 minutes means that they're going to have that buff until 40 minutes. They're going to just barely complete this one out before Baron takes it back to the Void. Rift
Efficiency, that's what that is right there. That is optimal efficiency. Really like that. But now SK, they might be stuck in the pit.
No, potentially looking for the fight, but Ruin's going in. Once again, throwing out the ultimate. Getting hype about that every time, but it's not quite going to work out.
You do love your Gnar, don't you, sir?
You have to respect that the Gnar ultimate can come out every time. I'm like, ah! You know, you gotta be ready. Like, at any moment, that dude can push R and an entire team fight can blow up in front of you.
It certainly can be, and now he's going to be even more devastating having picked up that glimpse of the Void. Now all I'm thinking of is Gnar being all Void-like. And
Void
being
Gnar?
all like, yeah, Void Gnar being all like, blah, blah, blah. You know, in the sense that, except that's what a Void creature sounds like to me. Anyway.
I respect that you never hesitate to go deep. Like, ever. You're just in there. You're like, Rabadon's Death Cap, why would he build it? Lore. Gnar with Void buff, let's talk about it.
So now, Siege coming out from Melty, a lot of wave clear on the side of SK.
Oh, Victor! There's that damage, unfortunately, that cannot follow Azir over the wall, so Niski is going to make it to safety. And you can see that Rylai's making it so much harder to get away from.
It certainly does. Forcing Niski to use that sliding skill, jumping onto a ride with his soldier.
The shifting sands.
Yeah, the shifting sands. See, because now what I'm imagining is one of those guys getting on a surfboard and just surfing their way to victory.
You don't have to imagine, though. There's things happening in front of you. There's action and video games in front of you. Your imagination is wonderful, but there's like tangible things happening.
Skin ideas. I need to be providing Riot with these ideas. See, now we already have a Surfer Singed. Surfer Azir is the next in line for that pool party setup. You know what I'm saying? He could be like riding the wave and using his soldiers as surfboards.
All right.
Because that's what an Emperor does. He doesn't need a board. He needs a human surfboard.
It's a little depraved.
Well, he's an Emperor.
This is a little dark for the pool party. This is a very happy set of skins. You're taking it in a weird direction, sir. Niski, though, that back is going to get stopped, and this is going to be a lot of pressure put into the mid lane by SK Gaming. They've got the whole squad here. Gnar still looking to push in the top lane, and you can see moving forward, they've got a decent gold lead. They've got the tower advantage already, but they just want to make it grow.
Hey, even with the kill score going in favor of Melty, who just seem to be finding the right picks, they're just not really making the right map plays. We have to remember that Vardags and Unlimited were the first ones to take that bottom tier turret, and off the back of that, they have been getting a number of objectives all around the map. So impressive stuff coming out from SK so far, holding on to a pretty solid gold lead. They are already 1-0 in this group, looking to try and make it 2-0 against Melty.
Of course, checking in again on the CS. You can see it continues to grow in favor of the Gnar on the top side of the map. Only easier now with that glimpse of the Void. 60 CS just about in his favor as Adam picking up what he can here and there, making more plays for the team, but sacrificing a lot for himself.
Ruin working towards that Flame Horizon. 231 to the 170 of Adam. 61 right now. Ruin may have been caught out.
He does a lot of damage, though, an even trade overall.
Have you caught me, or have I caught you?
Oh, man.
It's like glimpse into the void when you look in Gnar's eyes right now, because he just does so much damage.
Yeah, the thing is we don't know a lot about the Void. I mean, is the Void that bad?
Is it really that bad?
Yeah,
I mean, look at Malzahar. He looks like a pretty chill dude.
If a glimpse of the Void, yeah, it's totally sane and rational human being. I mean, if a glimpse of the Void gives you damage reduction and lets you hurt people, okay, yeah, maybe not so good. Never mind. The damage reduction part sounds nice, but the inflicting pain on others maybe not the most pleasant
When you
concept.
think of Malzahar and his damage reduction, do you think of positive things?
I mean, yeah, when I used it to boost myself up a couple 100 LP, but not quite so much when other people did. I have a very slanted perspective on that.
Slanted perspective. All right, well, Speaking of perspectives, let's have a look at the perspective of Melty right now, because they are a little bit behind in the gold department, but the way they're playing doesn't seem like that to them. They probably completely unaware, feeling pretty confident right now.
And they've got the power that is here. He's on those 2 items, that Sivir 2-item breakpoint you were talking about. They have a very strong team composition, and we're at the point where that pushing power from Sivir really is paying off, and you can see both supports, I mean, they're equal up overall, so regardless of the gold difference, things are pretty even across the bottom lane.
Yeah, we are seeing this Eye of the Watchers as well as the Eye of the Equinox. Pulse and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, about how this is the thing to do on supports right now, getting that extra ward, especially this Eye of the Watchers. Getting that extra bit of cooldown reduction is a very valuable thing to have, so it does allow you to then quickly prioritize your Locket of the Iron Solari, and given that magic resistance has been reduced on the current patch, you want to try and pick that one up as soon as possible to deal with some of these high power mages as they come into the mid game.
Yeah, and I mean, the power level for mages is pretty insane in this game, right? We've got 2 very strong members. We're going to have to see how they fare on the Hunt Burn Gravity Field, stopping that fight from getting any further. Beautiful disengage from Suno.
It certainly was. Unlimited sitting in the bush.
Coling coming out. Pillar goes up as well, says stop. Elise says go. It's not going to come through quite yet, but Ruin has Mega Gnar. He's moving forward, and Narrow may have been caught out. Emperor's Divide disengaging. Melty going to say back off. Both teams burning their cooldowns. Mega Gnar running out of time, and Mountain Drake the next objective on the table for SK Gaming.
It certainly is, and remember that they already have 1 Mountain Drake at their disposal. Picking this one up is going to give them a 20% damage to monsters as well as objectives, but objectives definitely going in the favor of Melty off the back of this one, picking up that tier 1 turret.
Kyrdos could be in trouble. Lisa's going to be able to drop down quite yet, but the Janna isolated and left alone from the team. Victor just going to pop that ult, making sure that even when the Monsoon comes out, Janna's still going to go down.
Really nice execution coming out from SK, throwing down the exhaust to make sure that Janna couldn't get away. Suno paired up with the Rylai's. There's no way you're going to get away from that one. Kill score now starting to close between both SK and Melty as SK look to set up a siege onto this tier 2 in the mid.
Maybe don't have the wave clear quite yet, although that bonus damage coming in handy from the Mountain Drake. Can set their sights on Baron. Could have a lot of things at their advantage. Of course, interesting build coming in from Ruin. Does have the Dead Man's play that much faster, that much harder to get away from.
Gotta go fast, man. Gotta go fast. He's really upset about the lack of Cloud Drakes, so he's compensating for that with the Dead Man's play.
Aren't we all upset about the lack of Cloud Drakes? Of course, shifting forward, I think we have to look at Baron as the next major objective, and who really would come out on top here in a Baron fight?
Well, at this point in the game, I would definitely give it to SK simply because of the difference in itemization between the AD carries. But Melty, they say, well, we don't care. We're going to go for a Baron fight anyway.
Moving forward, Cesar here is, of course, on the backside. He has increased damage to monsters. Could look to maybe try to steal this one. Getting knocked up. They are going to get it. That is the Baron that they wanted. They burned through the jungler as well. Melty, that's going to even up the gold too. Melty now 100% back in this game.
Wow, Melty with the incredibly decisive play to just go for it, but hang on because the action might not be over just yet.
Forward, glimpse of the void. Graves going to use the collateral damage to make it to safety. Baron buffs helping him stay safe. Ruin, is he too hungry for blood here? Moving forward, Unlimited there to back him up. We're gonna have to walk away from that one. Pops the Mega Gnar, knows he can't chase any further.
That reminded me of like a pet chasing its master, being like, play with me, please play with me. And then Nero being like, nope, gotta go back, gotta buy stuff.
Man, what world do you live in? I'm just curious, because like, when does your pet ever shouted at you, play with me?
Wait, your pet doesn't do that?
Or turn giant and mean?
Well, no, he was in the cute little mini Gnar at that time, and he was like, play with me, play with me. And then he got angry because he didn't play with him, so he was like, I'll go play with myself.
That's all Gnar is. Gnar is not mean. Gnar is simply a giant animal who, you know, just gets mad when people won't pay attention to him.
Right, well, let's remember what Melty got off the back of that. That Baron was absolutely massive for them, going to bring them comfortably back into the game. The gold is now perfectly even, and the decisiveness coming out from Melty was spot on right there. They needed that sort of play to find an avenue back in because they were struggling under the pressure of SK, and if nothing else, this is going to buy them time because we were talking about the itemization from the 280 carries, and going for this Lucian build, it does start to fall off compared to the heavy crit build that Sivir is going for. So the later this game goes, Sivir is going to start to outscale this Lucian, and this Baron is going to buy them enough time to get there.
Hopefully looking to do that. They're trying to defend these waves as best as they can, but little bits of damage are dropping. Double Mountain Drakes not helping them clear the waves out, and you know, really just Azir, the perfect champion to kind of set up a siege here onto this tier 2.
Definitely the champion. He has a lot of poke available. Decided to go for the Abyssal Scepter second, working towards that Rylai so that he has a little bit more utility in his kit. And they're going to quickly pick that one up. Wouldn't be surprised if they want to continue that siege, they could put down the Sun Disc, but they are just going to back away from that one.
Already used it behind themselves.
Yes,
set up for that initial siege, but now they're going to set their sights on the top lane. Trundle, Lucian, Elise moving up to try to defend this one. Going to hopefully siege it out. No Sun Disc for Azir this time, but Ruin maybe ready to make a flank. Does not have Meganar up. Doesn't have any rage either. The Culling not going to rip through those minions. Ruin dishing a lot of damage out. Red buff ticking. Glimpse of the Void procking. He's not quite close enough to those teammates. Meganar coming in. He may look to start the fight. Meganar three into the wall. Ruin making the play. His team needs to disengage from Janna, but the Chaos Storm is on the rest of the team. Niski cannot get comfortable to set up this fight, but SK are just going to have to back off. Melty not taking the fight.
Wow, such a massive fight coming out from both teams, and nobody drops off the back of that, all thanks to the massive Maokai ultimate that keeps so many people alive. That damage reduction was absolutely phenomenal. Niski as well. The positioning of his soldiers to prevent SK from getting too close in that choke point was really what helped Melty disengage off the back of that. So great stuff coming out from both teams. Really ready to go on the trigger with forcing these fights.
Ruin, what are you doing? In the middle of the jungle. If he turns Mega here, he can't get out. Oh my gosh, Ruin. He wanted some farm, he wanted some jungle, but he bit off way more than he could chew, and that is not a mistake you can afford to make.
No, with the dragon spawning up in 1 minute, this is a great opportunity for Melty to start setting up their deep vision. Now we're starting to see where this hype from Melty came from. They did have a bit of a rough early game. They found that one avenue back into the game, and now they are running at full force.
Absolutely. 6-3 the kill score. It may not have net them a gold lead earlier on. You can see the towers, though, finally in their favor. They may be down dragons, but they're making the most of that Baron buff they received. Hoping to break open the base here, advancing that vision, as you said, getting deeper and deeper into SK's jungle.
So have a look at this as well. Sivir has picked up 3 major items. The Infinity Edge done along with the Essence Reaver and the Static Shiv means that she is really going to start hurting with those ricochets. If the entire SK lineup starts grouping up, she's going to be getting so much AoE damage down. Combined with the Azir, Melty's teamfight composition really starting to come into its own. And I feel like SK, they've missed their mid-game spike by a fair bit now.
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, SK have the Victor, have that team fighting damage that scales really well, but how are you going to compete with an Azir in the late game?
Exactly, he has to be relatively close to get that damage down. That means you're going to have to go through the massive control that this Azir provides. 31 minutes in, 3rd Mountain Drake of the game. Melty want to pick this one up.
Pretty interesting. Going to see if they can grab it. Elise is ready to steal this one away. Can they get it? Graves is stand. They are going to grab it. That's triple Mountain Drake, but on the hunt is burned. They're trying to run forward. Culling and Gravity Field used to disengage. Adam on the front lines. Pillar is going to say no to that engage. So if the Baron ever spawns, SK can burn it down in probably 20 seconds.
They're going to take it insanely quickly. That is an additional 30% true damage to Epic Monsters. Ooh, have a look at this,
forward.
SK.
Niski getting aggressive, trying to burn down Unlimited.
Subjugate, nice.
Subjugate, yeah, you just said it. Absolutely going to save him. And now Melty just trying to make plays everywhere.
Well, Melty, they just want to keep this aggression up. They lost the dragon, but they want to say, no, it doesn't matter. And imagine how much easier it would be for them to set up these sieges if they had just one mountain dragon that would give them that additional damage to these structures. But unfortunately, they don't get it, thanks to the really nice steal coming out from Cesar.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Mountain Drake. It's important.
Le Mountain. I don't know why I said Le Mountain.
Le Mountain? Because Melty are French.
What's a triple mountain? You know, like in football, if you score 3 goals, it's called a hat trick. Is there something when 3 mountains are put together? Is that a thing? No? Can we make it a thing?
It's called a mountain range.
Oh, there you go. Well, now they have a range.
They have a range of mountain drakes.
Got it.
Got it. Coin it, write it down, lock it in forever.
So Baron is the next objective, and we've already talked a lot about the range of mountain drakes that SK do have available. They will be able to take this one down quickly, so they're setting up a lot of vision around it, because this is the big objective for both teams.
And of course, if anyone drops more than 1 or 2 members here in this Baron fight, this is going to be when the bases start to crack open. This is going to be when the game starts to break open. And you can see vision being put down by both sides. SK feeling relatively comfortable because they have that river warded up.
They certainly do. And now Melty, they want to contest the vision back, so even though SK worked pretty hard to get this vision, they're just going to give it away again. A little bit unfortunate for them as the Baron dance does begin. Have a look at the positioning of Ruin, sitting in the bottom lane, level 16. Ooh,
oh, Azir trying to make the plays. Suddenly the jungler is caught out. That means no smite for the side of SK. That 30% extra damage, not going to mean a whole lot when you can't secure the objective. Gnar on the bottom side just turned Mega. If he wants to TP in, he has to do it now. Here it comes indeed. Victor on the backside. The tanky front line. Adam moving forward. They're blocking so much damage. The Baron hasn't dropped yet. The health bar is starting to go down. They're moving forward. They're trying to focus this one out. 3K, 2K, dropping down.
They got it.
They're going to grab the Baron. That's Melty's second one of the game, but what can they turn it into?
They might just run top lane and go for the siege. They don't care if SK want to try and run down mid with 4 members because they've got Azir there to help them out. Melty is just going to go for as many objectives as they can. The death is still sitting on top of Cesar. He's got 5 seconds left. And Melty, they're going to look to extend the advantage as much as possible.
They've got the empowered wave. They've got the Janna and Sivir together, just going to rip through that tower. They're going to save their thirst. They're going to back off here, and they're just going to be happy with the 5K gold lead they've now built up for themselves.
Yeah, they certainly are. What a beautiful, decisive play coming out from Melty. But Nisqy, this guy really was the Silver Surfer right there, coming out from the backside, getting Cesar completely unaware. It was just exactly the setup that Melty needed to get themselves that Baron.
I like it. Silver Surfer. So you told me that we weren't going to get the sweet pop culture references when we started casting together. And I mean, admittedly, it's either a fantastic comic or one of the worst movies ever created, but I like it. You're getting it in.
I got to try and drop him in there somewhere. Wait until the Game of Thrones references start.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Let's talk about it. Melty, hoping to make their own little red wedding here. They try to burn down this tower.
Nice.
I'm not married to that idea, but we're
right now. Right now, Melty setting up a siege with that Baron buff in the bottom lane. Adam does have his teleport, but he's decided to group up with the team. The Ryleig's now completed from Nisqy, is enabling him to set up for that fantastic poke. And Victor, struggling with the wave clear, right now is keeping Melty at bay.
Has just enough range, though, to use just the edge of that hitbox to clear out those empowered cannon creeps, which we've seen be really the core to these kind of extended sieges. And it looks like Melty don't really have the tools to dive here. They just have to rely on this slow siege. They're getting aggressive, though. They're trying to burn down this tower. SK, they don't have Mega Gnar yet. They're not ready to commit. If they want to turn it around, they have to start now. But Melty, no fear. 0 to 100 in an instant. They grab the tower and the inhibitor in just a couple seconds flat.
Melty with the clean execution right there, using the long-range poke from Azir, combined with the long-range poke of Sivir and the empowered minions. You also have to remember the Janna, when you put that extra attack damage onto Sivir, you have so much more tower taking potential. And even without any Mountain Drakes, Melty finds structures to be not a problem whatsoever.
Not enough. Hasn't been able to be utilized. They haven't had the chance to just find 10 seconds to be left alone with a Baron or a Dragon or anything. But Dragon is on the way. It is 36 minutes into the game. Elder Dragon. Going to be pretty important if they can get it. 60% true damage towers.
The thing about Elder Dragon, right, is it only lasts 2 minutes. So if you get it, you're going to have to be super quick with how you use it. If anything, you need to kind of decide, right, we've got it now, let's force a fight, let's just shove an objective, let's go for a dive. You just have to be really quick with your execution. And given that Baron's off the table, SK can't turn around and be like, oh, we'll just trade Dragon for Baron. No, that's not an option anymore. You have to contest this Dragon. But Melty have to do something with it because you only have a very small window to take advantage of.
Yeah, or if SK can get it, they can, and they win a fight, they can just crush these towers down.
Yeah.
So Melty really have to respect this one. Ruin, not trying to get Mega Gnar quite yet. Trying to get himself right to the edge of that rage bar.
Are they going to give this?
I don't think they can afford to.
I don't think they can afford to either, but if you just look at the positioning, SK aren't really in a situation where they can contest.
This is their only Dragon, though. SK starting to move in, starting to get aggressive. Nero's taking a little bit of damage. Now isolated. Elder Dragon turning its sights on Unlimited. Pushing forward. Victor trying to get down some damage. Kurdos taking a bit on the backside. Here comes Adam, though. They have to respond to this quickly. On the hunt is burned. Rest of the team is all alone. Adam running towards Vardex, trying to catch this Lucian out, but he's the only one over the wall. They're getting the damage down, but Vardex is living. Ruin is there. Mega Gnar finally comes through. He's not going to hit anyone quite yet. He's jumping in. The damage is coming out. Azir isn't hitting anyone, though. Ruin popping the GA. Shut down onto Adam, and suddenly SK have the momentum. They're pushing forward. Nisqy dishing out damage back. The soldiers are coming in. Kong Conquering Sands comes out. He's getting down some damage, but at the end of the day, it's the 1 for 0. SK have to temper their aggression, though, because the Azir is just so strong.
So both tanks ended up going down. Notice that Ruin does not have his GA available, but because of that, he doesn't give a kill away over to Melty. So still sitting at 7 and 4. Poke coming out from Niski. He still has his ultimate, remember.
Oh, blue buff is going to go over Suno in the end. Suddenly Walks is all alone, though. TP's coming in. The Gnar is ready. He has the Mega Gnar. He can look to make the plays. They're trying to dive in. Bardak's doing so much damage. They're pushing forward. Victor trying to get it down. A beautiful Emperor's Divide, but the gravity field denies further. Ruin? Is this the play? He jumps in. He may have overstayed his welcome, though.
No.
Niski, the Cullen coming in, Conquering Sands. He gets stunned up. He can't finish the kill. Walks starting to go down. Suddenly, SK crushing out the team fight. Elise goes up, drops down, but Victor will grab a kill. The shutdown goes forward. Elder Drake not going to drop as SK take the retreat.
So this was a really difficult position for Melty to be in because they lost their frontline tank. He did not have his teleport available, but if Melty disengages, it would have guaranteed an Elder Dragon going over to SK, so they had to stick around. But SK had the healthier members. They had the numbers advantage. Ruin still had the teleport, and because of that, SK forced the play. That enables them to then force this Elder Dragon, but they actually don't pick it up, which is the best case scenario for Melty because of the super minions that were applying way too much pressure onto SK's base.
Of course, now setting their sights, they're going to continue to fight for this objective, but Baron is just a minute away. They can't afford to split their focus. They have to stay grouped, but what are they going to choose to do? So much pressure on both these lineups. Melty, they've been in the lead for so long. They still have 5k gold, but as we push further into the game, it just gets harder and harder, and you can see they're so confident in their lead. They're building up their 3rd, 4th items, and things are looking good, but Sivir taking an interesting path here.
Death's Dance completed for Sivir. She wants to have a little bit more survivability. It does give a fair amount of attack damage, but the passive that it provides will help her survive a little bit more in these team fights, and she's definitely going to need it with SK really starting to strut their stuff as we start to look for another potential contestant for this Elder Drake.
Niski, though, coming down to mid lane. He's going to be a little bit late to this fight, but SK are just going to back off. They know they don't have the Mega Gnar. Need to wait for that Rage to build back up. But both teams posturing around the Dragon. SK have to be careful not to overextend. The vision's being cleared out by Melty. They just want the ideal fight setup. If they can get Niski and Adam there together, dishing out damage to the back line, blocking the front. They'll get everything that they want, but it's not quite so easy to set up. SK well aware, and now rushing towards the Elder Dragon.
Oh my word. Are they going to trade the Elder Dragon for the Baron? No, they've decided to turn tail. They're going back towards this Elder Dragon.
Increased damage. They're burning through it. It's so fast. It's 5,000 health left. They're trying to catch Ruin before the fight starts. If they can get this pick, maybe they can end the game, but Ruin jumps over the wall. Elder Dragon goes down, and now they're so much stronger for the fight. Unlimited using the ultimate, stealing all of Adam's resistances. They're hungry for blood. You can see Victor continuing to dish out damage. The flash forward from Unlimited. Not going to gain anything quite yet. And SK get the Elder Dragon, but Melty, they're on the Baron.
But have a look at the bottom lane. There's a lot of minions pushing onto that inhibitor, so SK have to make a decision. Do they be happy with the Elder Dragon and back off, potentially giving away the Baron to Melty, or do they look to contest this Baron? It looks like they're just going to give it away.
Well, they're moving forward, though. Maybe they want to contest, but it's burning down so quickly. Azir and Sivir simply do too much damage. Baron goes down. Unlimited goes forward, but he's not going to find the engage he wants. SK, they got the Elder Dragon, but which buff is going to be stronger here in the end?
So based on our history that we've had so far in the CSQ, it has been the Baron that has always come out ahead of the Dragon, because what you do is with the Baron that has now had its duration increased to 3.5 minutes, you buy time. You wait for that Elder Dragon to dissipate. You use your empowered minions to just wait through that empowered damage that you have from the Elder Drake, and then you still have your Baron to set up a siege later on. So really insane stuff coming out from Melty. The fact that SK decided to give that one away, I think, was a big mistake.
Yeah, but we have to remember that they are going to get the true damage buff from the Dragon. So if they can stay away from towers, if they can just find a fight in the jungle, maybe they can come out on top because they have the Infernal Drake as well.
Well, this is it. Can they find the fight that they need? Cesar sitting in that bush.
Ooh, Spidey senses Tingle and Janna not going to step forward there. 5 members in the jungle. Azir isn't there. Not going to find the pick quite yet.
How much time do they have left on this Elder Dragon? It is running out very quickly. It looks like that they've only got about 20 seconds left on it. They're not going to be able to take advantage of this. And so Melty have managed to buy enough time to get themselves through this dangerous phase where SK could have looked to come back.
5k gold lead maintained, but the further we get in the game, the less relevant that gold will be. You can see Lucian finishing up his 4th item as well. not needing to pick up the last Whisper, has the armor reduction from the Black Cleaver and the armor penetration from the Youmu's. Feeling pretty comfortable at this stage. Approaching that 6-item breakpoint for just about every character in the game already. So much gold traded back and forth.
Yeah, these mid laners are really going to start to hit hard. Just have a look at some of the items they've completed. Void Staff now finished for Niski. On the other side, Void Staff finished for Suno as well. And they just want to be shredding through whatever magic resist is available on top of Melty. And even after the nerfs, Adam is saying, I don't care, I need all the MR I can get. He's got Merc Treads, Banshee's Veil, and Spirit's Visage just to try and deal with all of this damage coming out from the side of SK. The multiple threat composition that they have as Ruin, picking up that Black Cleaver very early on, is really starting to be a threat towards that backline. He did have a pretty good Gnar ult in that last Dragon fight. The question is, can he do it? Because I do feel that Gnar ult could be what SK need to turn this game around.
The Sun Disc is set up and the Siege is coming out. SK doing their best to defend this tower. Really not in the greatest position here as the inhibitor's still up, but the tower is open on the bottom side of the map, and Melty not relenting even for a moment here in terms of mid lane pressure.
We're approaching the 45-minute mark, another long game, but both these teams definitely want this win on the board. Melty currently sitting at 0-1, SK 1-0. If SK can pick this one up, they'll be in a good position moving forward as the turret almost goes down.
Oh, it is going to drop, I think, in the end. Maokai moving forward for the auto attack. SK, they don't have the rage on Gnar. He's trying to charge it up with the boomerangs, but he's just a little tired at this point in the game. And of course, now with the inhibitor dropping, there's a wave pushing the top side, and Melty are setting their sights on the second inhibitor. Breaking this open would make it a slow and systematic close, but SK, this is one of their last shots. They've got to find a way to get in, and Baron buff is still up, but it's about to fall off. Limited moving forward, Coling coming forward. Niski taking a lot of damage. Maybe zoned out of this fight, but they're moving in. The Flash Cocoon not going to find purchase. Adam trying to slow down. On the hunt being used to hope for the disengage. Hot bounce throwing Adam into the wall. Moving forward, throws the brick out as well. Adam is going to drop. Is anyone else going to drop? Sivir flashes to safety. Unlimited uses the pillar. Beautiful shot. Victor ult coming in.
So much damage.
Burned down. Is he going to drop? Is it enough? Yes, he's going to find it. Azir drops as well. SK turning this game on its head. 2 members left standing, but they take the shot and it works.
So Melty, after getting that middle inhibitor, want to push their advantage as much as possible. But the moment that Baron buff wears off, SK turn the go button on. They force the fight. They use that culling to shred through Niski and say, okay boys, let's go for it. They get the fight that they need. They get the kills that they need. And now they are looking so much more confident. But the problem is they don't turn it into any objectives. So even though they win a fight, SK is still on the back foot.
And we can see as this fight unfolds, you talk about it, the Coling at the start, starting us off, and then immediately keep your eyes on Ruin and Unlimited, the pillars and the CC from the Gnar, making sure that Adam goes down. Hop, skip, bounce, smack him into the wall. SK pull out ahead in this fight.
Yeah, the big problem is here for Melty is basically they'd committed to disengaging after Niski took so much damage. If they'd considered turning around and going for the fight, things might have worked out in their favor, but unfortunately decided not to do that. Weird decision making from Niski, holding on to his ultimate in that entire fight. Really felt like he didn't need to do that, but there we are. Unfortunately for him, he loses both of his summoner spells, and now the kill score finally going in the favor of SK.
And Ruin, of course, pushing just a bit forward there, trying to clear out the space as best he can. SK, as you said, not getting a greater advantage. Still a little bit on the wave clear duty here. And not ideal for them, but they should be able to hopefully bring it back as we push forward.
It's been very back and forth this game. I mean, we have to remember SK held the early game. It was theirs. And then one Baron play from Melty got them back into it. They were feeling a lot more confident. But ever since that Elder Dragon came onto the Rift, both Melty and SK have been feeling much closer in how these fights have been playing out.
And we have to remember now, as you can see at the top of that scoreboard, Baron just 2 minutes away. The gold essentially evened up at this point in the game, and it's anybody's fight. It's about who can get the better setup, who can put down more pressure or vision to eke out those little advantages.
Wow, okay, I just realized something, that Unlimited actually sitting at a 0-0-8 score on this Trundle. Really impressive, considering how much on the front line this guy has been.
Yeah, not dropping at all. I didn't notice that either. I'm so surprised, but, you know, it makes a lot of sense. And additionally, Suno 5-1-2, despite all these crazy team fights and everything considered, some good score lines. But SK just barreling down that tower, 30% extra true damage.
Niski in the top lane for some reason. Strange positioning coming out from him. Not sure why he decided to go up there, but even with the Baron empowered minions pushing down the mid, he has decided to just get themselves a turret.
Yeah, of course, now starting to set their sights on putting down some of that Baron vision. Tower will go down, maybe a little bit misplaced attention coming in. Melty, single outer tower, not going to mean that much, or inner tower rather. Moving in as we go forward. Of course, one more play. We're at that point in the game. 50 minutes. Long death timers. Oh, Kurdos. Only Elise going to be there. Not too much damage. Even the Channa has enough MR to block out those bases.
What is it with me and attracting long games, Sifa?
Maybe it's all of the side story time.
Oh, they're giving me room to tell my stories?
Maybe the like team owners are like, oh yeah, this Vedius guy is casting. He's gonna tell us all about the lore of the items. We're really all about that. So what I need you to do is not end the game. I need you to not do that. But the TP. Oh man, I got so excited. I was like, here it goes, flank, flank. No, not gonna find it quite yet. But we have to remember that this is. You know, a game that like is been so back and forth, as you said. This is not one team absolutely dominating. That's kind of what we were wondering if we would see that more here in Group A, because yesterday was pretty much all stomps, and today it's been pretty back and forth here, at least in this game.
Okay, so the big thing about this game in particular and why it's so tense. Oh, hang on a second, Unlimited. He's going to throw down the pillar.
Moving forward, looking to make a play here. Ruin, is he going to pop that Mega Gnar? Rage stacking. Ooh, not quite enough, but that's pretty important. Keeping it just on the edge there, ready to go in at a moment's notice.
All right, so we have to remember that Melty, they've already played Misfits, who are considered the strongest in Group A right now. Every single, if they want to come second, realistically, they need to beat everyone else in this group to hold on to that second place spot, which is why this game is so massive. But SK, they're in a very similar position where if they want to try and contest with Misfits, they can't afford to drop a game anywhere, considering how strong Misfits look. So this is an incredibly important game for both these teams to keep their Challenger Series hopes alive.
Absolutely, you need to pull ahead in this round robin. You only have 5 games to make it count to get that near perfect record as close as you can get. Melty already starting off with a loss. SK already finding the win. A lot of pressure on both these sides to pull ahead. Maybe get a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more comfort in this group stage. But you can see Melty positioned to take the Baron. Gnar is on the bottom side, starting to stack up that Rage. Could look for the fight here. I think it's going to come down to this.
It could very well do. There is a ward from SK. They're going to start off the Baron.
Pillar goes in. TP coming into the backside of the Baron pit, but I think Gnar may be too late. Unlimited knocked up, he flashes into the Tornado at him in the back line, dishing out so much damage. Unlimited is going to drop. The Victor ult does so much in the end, though. Melty, Ruin out of nowhere, comes in from the pit. The triple kill from Lucian. SK, can they end the game? At the end of the day, Suno trying to find another kill, but 3 members of Melty die in an instant. They have the 30% damage from Mountain Drake, and they're pushing down the mid lane while Suno buys them time.
Melty, oh my word, this looked so good for them, but they invested way too many resources onto ruining Unlimited's kill score. Things were just looking so good for Melty. They fought so hard, but this could very well be the game-ending push from SK.
I think it's going to be just that. 40-second death timers on the Graves. The Azir and Maokai are counting down, but with the Mountain Drakes backing them up, that range, if you will, they're going to move forward. They're going to break down these Nexus towers. Mega Gnar coming out as well. Sivir popping on the hunt, trying to get something back. That's a lot of low health bars. Wait a second, are they going to be able to end this? They're moving forward. Ruin's going to drop. Suno, Vardags, they're burning through. Can they close the game? They're going to get it. SK Gaming take down Melty eSports.
Wow, so in a 52-minute slugfest between these two teams, it is SK that came out ahead in what was a final team fight to finally close things out. And it was all Ruin. This guy getting the multi-man Gnar ultimate in what looked like such a horrible fight for SK initially, being able to turn that one around and get his team the win is exactly what Ruin wanted to do.
And you said it yourself, just such a back and forth game. SK dominating the early game, left and right. Melty bringing it back with that, you know, very brave Baron play. They took a big risk there and it paid off, but at the end of the day, one last team fight. They got to that 50-minute stage and Ruin, as you said, he hits the Gnar ult. He doesn't hit them all. Sometimes he's flashy, sometimes he makes mistakes, but 50 minutes into the game, you got to respect that Gnar. You got to respect it at any moment. If he hits your backline with that ultimate, and for a rough fight.
The big problem there for Melty was that they decided they needed to force something. They felt like they needed the Baron to end the game, and it's not a bad choice, you know. Given that they've gotten every Baron so far, I think they wanted to rely on that decisiveness where they said, if we just go for it, we take it, we're going to catch them off guard again, and we're going to be able to just close the game off the back of that. So, unfortunately, SK read them. They had the vision ready, and when you have a two-pronged attack coming out from SK, what the Gnar from the back and everyone else from the front, it forces Melty into a weird situation where who do we focus? Do we go onto the Gnar? Do we go onto the tank? Or do we try and engage onto the Elise, the Trundle, the Victor, the Lucian, who are so good at disengaging that you're kind of chasing your tail, and that just provides enough time for Gnar to finally come in, get the ultimate that he needs, and it's just SK's easy, clean fight to take. So it was simply SK playing the Baron fight as well as they should, and I don't think anyone could argue that was a well-deserved victory.
Absolutely. I mean, really just a stunning performance overall, and we got to give a lot of props to the team. SK at the end of the day, more decisive in the end, and Ruin, maybe a little bit of a hit or miss player overall, but really has what it takes to show up in the late game, and that's really when it matters.
He's clearly copying my strategy of not do well, but then you get that one play that literally wins you the game.
I think he copied part of the strategy, but I don't think he was a huge advocate for feeding in the mid-game, sir.
Feeding's just a byproduct. It's about the end result. As long as you achieve that point, nothing else matters.
And see, if we don't have context here, you just sound like a jerk. Oh my gosh.
But Ruin definitely did make that massive play at the end, and with the positioning of the Azir wall cutting off everyone else, I just thought Azir's going to go to town right now. He's in a great position. He can clean up this fight. But then with that Gnar flashing in, getting the stun up, perfect execution.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think that's all that it took. But, of course, with our final match in Group A for the day now complete, Vedius and I are going to be stepping away from the desk and handing the reins over to Stress and Pulse to bring you the best of Group B.